I want to deal directly with the element of the report which will cause most concern to the public: strip searching.
One of these strip searches that was deemed unlawful by the Baird report is the following: prepare to be angry and shocked.
What are you doing that for?
It starts here, February 2021. Zaina Iman arrested in her home
Drugs, cocaine.
after she knocked the glasses off a female officer's face.
No, you can't help me.
Footage she obtained from the police showed her unconscious, taken into a cell and stripped naked. Last July, she shared the material with Sky News, and our investigation into what happened to her and 2 other women triggered the Baird inquiry.
I wasn't a suicide risk at the time. I was unconscious, so I needed medical attention. But instead of providing an unconscious female medical attention, they thought, I know, let's take her clothes off instead and leave her there naked.
GMP said it was done for welfare reasons.
What was the nature of these welfare reasons, and how were the police able to determine that the woman had such welfare reasons? How did stripping the woman naked address these welfare reasons?
Zaina is not the only woman who's experienced this. Danica Stewart believes she was strip-searched in custody because she'd made formal complaints against the police.
It's power, because when I left the police station that day, the sergeant on the desk said to me, you need to drop all your complaints against the police. They needed to show me who was boss.
But not one of you have got your body cam on, have you?
The police denied she was strip-searched. The inquiry disagreed.
She was, in truth, bullied. The strip search, of course, is denied by the police, but she is so clear and so humiliated when she repeats what happened that I'm inclined very much to believe her.
When the police either lose or damage any video footage relating to an arrest or a strip search, I feel that the criminal suspect should receive compensation. And secondly, the police officers involved in the handling of the video footage should face sanctions, whether it's being sacked and or being sent to prison and or paying a fine. What happened in Danica Stewart's case is that firstly, the investigating officer said she hadn't been strip searched at all, and then when she insisted that she had been strip searched, she was told that the video footage recording her strip search had been damaged.
Another case involved Mark Dove.
What were we arrested for? At the moment, for threats to cause criminal damage.
Stripped after he'd complained about his arrest.
How do you put a complaint in? I don't know.
And refused to answer questions, including about whether he felt suicidal. The sergeant said, "You're p***ing me off," ordering a strip search.
They take everything out the cell, absolutely everything out the cell, and just leave me there naked for 8 hours. I was told, when I behave, I can have a blanket.
And they take away the suit, the blanket, and the mattress. He has no food. He tries to keep himself warm by pushing warm water from the tap over his body because he's now completely naked. And so the custody sergeant turns the water off.
On a second arrest, Mark was stripped again, and when he refused to wear police clothes, he was marched through cell corridors.
I was humiliated. There was even prisoners sat on the benches while I'm stark, absolutely naked, not a sock on, nothing. The staff was laughing at me, the sergeants on the booking-in desk.
Part of the problem in Manchester could be that it bans lawyers from entering the reception desk area in the custody suites.
For what purpose do you not want a solicitor or legal representative in that area? And is that because of the atmosphere? It's your domain. You don't want to be scrutinised.
Using a Freedom of Information request to all forces, we found only one other police force in the country that does this.
Because it's such a totally f***ed-up practice.
GMP said it is to reduce footfall in areas with volatile detainees.
But a solicitor is hardly likely to add to any volatility that's going on. It's just the police covering their tracks. That's what I think.
We need to see if there's been any searches, especially intimate searches, strip searches, whether they were justified.
As a result of this inquiry, there will be more restrictions on strip searches for concealed items, and in Manchester, strip searches for welfare reasons won't happen at all. This could become national policy.
If somebody is feeling suicidal, the worst thing to do to them is to strip search them and leave them naked in a cell. You ask yourself who comes into the police to lock away their brains and stash away their humanity and tick up another arrest. Is that what it's about? Job done?
Right, Danica, the time's 10:42. You're under arrest on suspicion of blackmail.
Danica believes she was arrested because she'd complained about a police investigation, even recorded a senior officer admitting mistakes. The man she'd accused of sexual offences against a minor made a counter-allegation against her.
I believe the Baird report even says that there were no reasonable grounds for the police to arrest Danica.
You called him a disgusting tramp. Do you recall sending that message?
I'm not doing this interview anymore. Put it back on.
Right, Danica, unfortunately you can't walk out.
I'm not doing
Danica.
it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Right,
Put me in a cell. I'm not doing it. I'm not talking about him. I'm not a paedophile. He's a paedophile. I'm not talking about him.
Do you find some of it hard to watch?
Yeah. The stress it causes is just unbelievable. You lay there thinking, well, if I get convicted of this, I've lost my house, I've lost my job, I've lost my car, I'm not going to see my son see his next birthday, I'm not going to see my son see his next Christmas, and you just want to give up.
All because of the police, who are meant to protect and serve the public, not ruin their lives out of stupid vendettas.
Hello.
Examining the case, Dame Vera found that Danica turned from victim to suspect based on almost nothing, concluding her arrest was unlawful.
Ah, there we are.
It's the same with 3 arrests of Mark Dove, where Dame Vera points out a disproportionate, imbalanced response to dealing with him compared to the people he was in a family dispute with. In one arrest, his home was raided in the early hours over a text he'd sent to a family member months previously. Officers didn't say why they were there before smashing his door down and dragging him away from his screaming daughter and his partner.
And this arrest of Mark's was again deemed unlawful in the Baird report.
I told the sergeant I'm not going to be able to get home.
Another shocking example is Maria. Originally, she went to the police station as a domestic violence victim, seeking her partner, who'd been detained for assaulting her. She was later arrested and strip-searched after she allegedly swore at the police.
She's been outside Pendleton police station for 6 hours and they've been just inside it. And no one's come out.
They know she's a domestic abuse
for 6 hours. They know she's a domestic abuse victim because she tells them the whole story. In fact, she has to repeat it no less than 14 times because that's how many calls she
And the next thing they're going to do is arrest her and then strip search her pretty quickly.
That's exactly it. And I have to say that is quite wrong. I mean, it's obviously wrong in every way you can dream of.
The strip search was apparently to look for a discarded vape.
They made me take off all my clothes, open my legs wide, and then she wanted me to open my actual private parts completely open. And then she asked me to get up, turn around, bend over so she could see my buttocks area. And then I did, and then she wanted me to bend right over and open my buttocks wide so she could see fully.
Dame Vera's report found not just the strip search, but the arrest itself was unlawful. She said it also highlights how police readily criminalise traumatised women who express frustration with the police response.
And yeah, as you'll see, as at July 2024, GMP are still coming for Maria.
The Baird report tells of another domestic violence victim who was taken from her home by police in the dead of night over a spurious allegation by her abuser that she'd broken his wing mirror.
A middle-aged teacher who had been beaten to pieces by her partner, who'd gone to the police for help, and they did arrest him. And a few weeks later, he accuses her of 14 months before knocking the wing mirror off his car, and they go at 3:30 in the morning to arrest her for criminal damage for that. The custody officer, records that she's been arrested to protect a vulnerable person, which is a man who actually GMP have ranked as a very dangerous domestic abuse perpetrator.
This particular case showed me personally that there was still room for me to be shocked I hadn't heard the worst of GMP. Did it do the same for you?
What we're essentially hearing from Dame Vera here is that the police are being used by a domestic abuser to abuse that woman. That's what happened, isn't it? And how do you feel about it?
Well, I'm appalled by it. I'm appalled by it. I am a professional police officer, and I am surrounded by thousands of good police officers who will simply and similarly be appalled.
There were a lot of people involved in that arrest, and they all got it wrong.
Indeed. It's a systemic failure, a leadership failure, a process failure. I do think in individual circumstances there may be a failure of experience.
You don't need experience to not undertake unlawful arrests. You just don't undertake unlawful arrests. And as for the rest of that empty, self-serving drivel,
The inquiry recommends an independent panel to randomly assess arrests every 3 months to check they are lawful and reasonable. Where is the accountability? When domestic violence victim Maria formally complained about her arrest and strip search, she was told her treatment was acceptable, reasonable and proportionate. For Danica, GMP has never accepted that she was strip searched.
Do you think Danica Stewart was strip searched? Because she thinks the police have never acknowledged it. Dame Vera thinks the police have never acknowledged it.
I don't know. All I know is there is a disputed set of facts. But what we have not sought to do is to go into individual examples and nitpick because it seems to...
Investigating individual cases is exactly what's needed, in my opinion, and I wouldn't call that nitpicking, I would call that investigating.
One of the things is that the policy, it's not even been acknowledged that it happened.
Yes, and the point that I'm simply making here is that there are disputed circumstances around that particular example.
Would he be saying that if his own wife said that she'd been strip searched?
They're still denying it to today. So if you're still denying something after an independent investigation, you're in denial, aren't you, as a force?
It's often one person's word against the police. A clear barrier to accountability is what the report describes as a defensive, aggressive complaint system.
Many of my clients don't want to make a complaint. They are actively scared of the power of the police and confirm that, well, this is my local police officer, he will just come and get me.
Chantel was trying to protect a vulnerable child from a suspected predator when police on the scene unlawfully arrested her, according to Dame Vera's report. In her cell, she was on her period, but was denied sanitary products.
In the end, I was there for a total of 16 hours.
And for how long of that period did you not have sanitary products?
The whole time. I had to use my jumper. When I got out of there, I made a police complaint online about the way I was treated.
The investigating sergeant said she was treated fairly.
I don't think the investigating sergeant would have allowed his own wife to have been treated in that way. And what we learn next, again, anger and shock are what we'll feel.
That sergeant actually investigated my complaint that I made about him, which I don't think's fair.
So the man who you complained about was the person who investigated the complaint?
Yeah.
She seems to have been the same custody sergeant who she spoke to wanting help, who rang her up and said he was looking into her complaint and found it not grounded.
That really
Literally the same person.
That really is marking your own
Literally the same person, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, obviously it's completely unacceptable.
As a result of the inquiry, police complaints in Manchester are dealt with at a central complaints department. The most concerning case remains that of Zaina Iman. She claims that during over 40 hours in custody, much of which she spent naked, she was raped. Sky News examined the cell footage provided to Zaina by the police under a subject access request and found 2 hours of the footage missing.
Who's got something to hide? I'm openly saying that at some point during my detention with Greater Manchester Police, I was drugged and sexually assaulted. Prove me wrong, give me the footage.
And how exactly are the police either losing or damaging any video footage in the first place? They're obviously deliberately covering up their own criminal activities.
Police said there was no evidence of a sexual assault, but Zaina's claims are being investigated by the police watchdog, the IOPC, the mayor promising the fullest investigation to the highest standard. Has anyone been disciplined for the wrongdoing highlighted in the Baird inquiry?
There are a series of complaints that are currently being investigated. There are matters criminal which are being criminally investigated independently, and these things must be allowed to take their course. Where wrongdoing is established on anybody's part, Where that misconduct meets that which is required, they will be exited the organisation.
Greater Manchester Police has not told us whether any officer has been disciplined. Meanwhile, domestic violence victim Maria still faces criminal charges for swearing at the police.
That's what I was referring to when I said that Greater Manchester Police were still coming for Maria. If you've enjoyed this video, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.